What's up, and welcome to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, manifestation expert, money mindset and fulfillment coach, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur. Come sit with me while I spill the real tea on what it's like to practice using intentional manifestation, demystify all of the woo-woo and confusing bullshit that comes along with creating the life of your dreams, and give you a realistic view of what it's like to be on a personal, spiritual, and professional growth journey. The goal of this podcast is to support and guide you towards manifesting all of your dreams, shed light on the things that people are too scared to talk about, and encourage you to become the person who gets to have it all, be it all, and do it all. I am so happy you are here. Let's fucking do this thing. What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. Do you guys ever think about Matthew McConaughey in that one movie? Oh shit, what is it? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? How he and his family play bullshit at the end. That's what I think of when I say the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. Think about Matthew McConaughey. What a man. Love him so much. But welcome back, everyone. It is September. Holy shit. How did we get here? I can't believe that it is already the 9th month of the year, and it also feels like this has been a really long year, which isn't a bad thing, quote unquote bad thing at all for me. Something that I've really recognized for myself in my life since starting my business and like really starting this intentional manifestation journey is that so much has shifted, so much has changed. I've evolved so much. The things in my life have evolved so much, and it all is happening at such a fast pace that what used to feel like a short amount of time, like 1 year, used to fly by and like nothing really changed. And I would be like, wow, that was such a quick year. Whereas now it's like, wow, that was such a quick year. And it also feels like it had to have taken so many years to like get to the point that I'm at because so much has shifted and changed in my life that like, how is it possible that all of that happened in 1 year? So that's where I'm at, thinking about the past 9 months of my life, where I was at January 1st of 2021 in my life, personally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, compared to now, what has shifted, what has changed, and it is out of this world. And tying back into that, so September is a very significant month for me because 2 years ago, in September of 2019, is when I started my very intentional manifestation journey, inner work journey, and really started to dive into all of the different limiting beliefs and self-imposed limits and traumas, etc., 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 that I've worked through in order to create the life that I have now. So that's what I want to talk about today is limiting beliefs, like limiting beliefs, what they are, why we have them in the first place, why it's important to do the inner work, and what can happen through doing that inner work so that it hopefully encourages you, if you're on an inner work journey, to keep going, because I know that it can be really fucking daunting sometimes to be on this journey. It can feel lonely. It can feel like a lot of things, let's be honest. And if you are curious about an inner work journey, or don't even know what an inner work journey is, to bring some clarity to that, because I feel as though I see a lot of people talking about like doing the inner work, do the inner work, do the inner work online. And when I was in the position of like, okay, do the inner work, like what the fuck is the inner work? What does that mean? How do I start on the inner work if I don't know what the inner work is? And how to recognize what my limiting beliefs are in the first place and work through those limiting beliefs. So that's what we are going to be diving into today to honor the 2-year mark of me going all in on my inner work and creating this shift and change in my life by hiring my first coach. So to kick this thing off, what is a limiting belief? So from my perspective, in my opinion, limiting beliefs are false beliefs or false opinions that we have about ourselves and about our lives that are typically stopping us from having, doing, and being exactly what we want for ourselves in our lives. So an example of this could be like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Who am I to have XYZ? Of course she gets to have that and I don't. Bad things always happen to me. I'll never have what I want. So on and so forth. All of these like self-deprecating, false, limiting stories that we tell ourselves sometimes on a daily basis about our lives and about our realities. And when you are telling yourself these different things, they become your reality. Because we manifest what we believe with absolute certainty into our lives. So what does that mean? We manifest our beliefs. And when our beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, who am I to have XYZ, of course I don't get to have what she has, bad things happen to me, all of the shit that we just like so easily can tell ourselves about our lives, of course we manifest that into our realities because that is the belief that is in place. And this is why it's so important for us to do the quote unquote inner work to heal our limiting beliefs, because that is the only way that we can naturally start to attract and manifest the things that we want. By addressing these limiting beliefs, self-imposed limits, the stories that we are telling ourselves, and creating the shift and the change within it so that you are naturally starting to attract and manifest the things that you want without constantly feeling like you're having to work so damn hard for it, without like feeling like it's an uphill battle to stay happy, stay positive, stay in a high vibration, which I hear a lot of people talk about and see people struggling with and thinking that they're never actually going to be able to attract and manifest the things that they want into their lives if they're not happy all the time. And that is my biggest qualm with the world of manifestation and law of attraction and like the false teachings about it, is that like, fuck no, that can't happen. You're not going to be happy all the time. You're a human fucking being, and that's not the goal. The goal is to recognize what are the false stories, what are the limiting beliefs that we are telling ourselves about our lives and about ourselves that is holding us back from having, being, and doing every single thing that we want for ourselves. So how are limiting beliefs formed? So what I want you to think about is when you were born, your mind was completely blank. Basically, your brain as you were born was like an old iPod Nano, and it had absolutely no information whatsoever. I hope that the people listening to this podcast remember what an iPod Nano was. It was like one of the first few generations of iPods that came out, and when you got it, there was literally nothing on it except for songs, artists, playlists, and that was it. And you had to upload everything into that iPod Nano. You had to upload the songs. You had to make sure that the right artist was put on it, the right album, all of those different things, because otherwise it just like wouldn't have any information behind it, but like the song would be on there. And when you are born, your brain is that iPod Nano. And as you start to enter into the world, all of these external forces are the things that are plugging those songs, all of that information into you. So your parents or primary caregivers, teachers, friends, the media, society, different things that you're encountering on a daily basis are the things that then start to fill in you with information. Because our subconscious mind, so our brain consists of the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. The conscious mind is responsible for more logical decisions in our lives, the way that we perceive logic and the way that we go about things. Whereas for the inner work, what we're primarily concerned with is the subconscious mind, because it is responsible for our belief systems. It is responsible for the way that we feel, the way that we behave, the way that we think about things. And that is where 95% of our brain goes to. 95% of our brains is made up by the subconscious mind, and 5% of our brains is made up by the conscious brain, which means that we are only consciously creating our realities 5% of the time, which to me, when I first learned this, was a big what the fuck moment of no wonder my reality looks the way that it does, because consciously I am also feeding myself these thoughts of I'm not worthy, I'm never going to get there, I'm not good enough, bad things always happen to me, of course this is my reality, I'm condemned to a life of settling, just like bullshit on bullshit. Like all of these self-deprecating and limiting stories were also what I was feeding myself consciously, not just subconsciously. So subconsciously, of course, that is what was there as well. But it's really important to know that 95% of your brain is made up by the subconscious mind, because that is where your belief systems lie. And when you're in this situation of, oh my gosh, it feels so challenging to change my life, of course it does, because 95% of your thoughts and the beliefs that you have about yourself and about your life are coming from a subconscious place, and the subconscious mind is a lot more challenging to access and tap into than the conscious mind is. So why does it feel so challenging to get rid of limiting beliefs? Well, because on a daily basis, we are thinking 60 to 80,000 thoughts. 60 to 80,000 thoughts, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts that we were thinking about from the day before. So if you recognize that you find yourself in any sort of pattern or cycle in your life where you are trying to change something, let's talk about like diet. You are in this position where you're super frustrated with your weight or with your appearance, and you want to start a diet. So you start it without doing any of like the actual belief work about diets in your body and appearance and worthiness, etc. Any of what the limiting beliefs could be based in the first place. You start the diet. You're consciously focused on the diet for a few days. It lasts for a week or so, and then you're back in the same cycle of doing exactly what you were doing before with the food you're consuming, with whatever it is that you're consuming, and you're back to thinking the same exact thoughts, creating that same exact cycle. That is because nothing truly in our lives can change the way that we want them to unless we address what the limiting beliefs are underneath the surface, and then creating the external change. So another example of this, an example in my life, is anytime I was trying to create change for myself. So if you haven't listened to the first episode, go back and listen to the first episode. I share my story of who I am and why I'm here. And a huge part of my story is being stuck in patterns of self-sabotage for years and years and years. And anytime I tried to create change in my life, from going from the version of myself who was constantly drunk, constantly blacking out, constantly in this like place of victim mode, it would last for a short amount of time, because I would say, okay, Kat, I'm over your bullshit. You're gonna do XYZ, you're gonna stop drinking for this amount of time. You're going to be positive about things for this amount of time. And I would stick to it for a short amount of time. I would absolutely like go in on doing that for a short amount of time, but because I never looked at the underlying limiting beliefs that were there about myself and about my life, then the 95% of my subconscious mind, where all of my belief systems were stored, just naturally took over. Because it's hard for us to think that we can always be controlling what's happening in our lives when consciously we're only there 5% of the time. And once again, just like I was saying before, this is why it's so important to do the inner work, because doing the inner work is this process of recognizing what your limiting beliefs are. Recognizing what your limiting beliefs are in the first place, because we can't change what we don't recognize, and we can't change what we're not willing to recognize. A lot of us are really good at lying to ourselves and pretending like things aren't there when they actually are, or fluffing things up to make them seem prettier when in reality they're really fucking awful. And I'm saying that from a place of that's been so true for me in my life. And we can't change the things that we are not willing to recognize. We cannot change the things that we are not willing to recognize. We can't change the things that we don't recognize. I know I've said that many times in the past minute, but I really want to hit that home. That we can't change the things that we don't recognize and that we're not willing to recognize. So recognizing what your limiting beliefs are in the first place is huge for you to actually start to create this shift, because going back to explaining what the inner work is, the inner work is reprogramming and rewiring the structure of your subconscious mind, creating new neural pathways within the subconscious mind so that that becomes your new normal, that you're taking out the normal of the limiting beliefs, the self-deprecating talk, the doubt, the fear, etc., 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 and plugging in what you want to be true for yourself, what you want to be true about your life, what you want to be true about your finances, what you want to be true about your relationships, so on and so forth, and creating this dedication and this practice to having that be the new belief system, and the belief system that you start to act within, behave within, and believe in, so that you can create those new neural pathways within the subconscious mind and ultimately start to attract and manifest a reality that is so much more aligned and so much more supportive for you, without constantly, like I said, feeling like you're having to work so damn hard for it. And also that one that you just break out of, that you continue to fall into these patterns of self-sabotage for. And another analogy for this is, like, the way that I like to see it is, if your mind was a garden and you haven't done the inner work, your garden is full of weeds. And instead of walking around the garden trying to trim the weeds and pretend like that's enough, which you can do with a lot of these things, forcing gratitude, forcing positivity, forcing meditation, forcing all of these different things, spiritually bypassing what's actually coming up, what's actually present for you, and really just ignoring the underlying reasons that you have those beliefs in the first place. All that does is trim the weeds down, and yes, it works for a short amount of time. It feels better for a short amount of time because you can't see the weeds. The weeds aren't really out in their full capacity, but ultimately they're going to grow back because the roots are still living underneath the ground. And what doing the inner work is recognizing those weeds and not just trimming them down, but getting to the roots, getting to the core reasons why you believe that limiting belief in the first place, and allowing yourself to slowly but surely, and it doesn't have to all be one big go around clearing out all of the weeds in the garden, because that would be fucking exhausting and potentially overwhelming, but slowly but surely uplifting all of those different weeds, all of the different roots of those weeds that are taking over your garden, so that then you can create the space, you can clear that space in the ground for you to then plant the seed of what you are choosing to be true for yourself and about your life moving forward. but we can't create the new belief system, and we can't start to naturally attract and manifest and embody the things that we desire to have when all of those weeds are still in the ground. We must always create the space energetically, mentally, emotionally, clear the space within ourselves and within our belief systems and our lives and our gardens, going along with this analogy still, in order for you to actually effectively create the new belief system and to have that new garden that is full of flowers instead of weeds, and to be able to naturally start to attract in and manifest the things that you want. That is what that process is, of actually like creating those new neural pathways within the subconscious mind. And what I like to think about in my life, and I know I said this a little bit as we led into the episode, the intro of the episode, with how 2 years ago, 2 years, that's it. 2 years ago, I started this very intentional journey of shifting my belief systems. And 2 years ago, my belief system looked nothing like it does today. I don't even really remember fully what it was like to live inside of that belief system, because I've been so consistent with it and so persistent of creating that shift and change, creating those new neural pathways within my subconscious mind, eliminating the weeds in my garden so that I could create that space for me to plant the new seeds and have the new belief system and easily attract and manifest in the things that I was wanting. Because once you've done that, your supportive belief system becomes your new normal. It's not this like constant uphill battle towards having to fight for this belief system, having to fight for this life, having to fight for XYZ. No, this becomes the new normal because you're literally rewiring your psychology and you're rewiring the structure of your brain, which I feel as though there is a lot of misconceptions about when it comes to manifestation and law of attraction, again, because there's a lot of confusion that manifestation can absolutely be seen from a spiritual standpoint and can be seen from it's coming from the divine, that all of these different things are happening due to the divine, the universe, God, spirit, whatever it is that you want to call it. But manifestation is also completely based in psychology and quantum physics. So either way, you can embody both. That's something that I do. I definitely am a spiritual person, but I definitely fully lean into and on the scientific side of manifestation and law of attraction, because sometimes faith hinders. And to be able to understand that this is truly something that is like scientifically proven, that it's easier for us to wrap our heads around and get behind the fact that this shit works. Doing the inner work works. Manifestation and the law of attraction works because it is scientifically proven. So going into your limiting beliefs and recognizing what those things are in the first place so that you can create that space and really start to clear it out and then create the new supportive belief system is what can absolutely transform your life, just like it has for me. Just like I said 2 years ago. Do not remember her. 1 year ago. What was going on 1 year ago in my life? September of 2020. I was just about to hit 6 figures in my business for the first time. I was leaning so hard on that to bring me all of the happiness that I thought it was going to. And then when I hit it and it didn't, it scared the shit out of me. So it's like each step of this journey of recognizing the limiting beliefs brings you closer and closer and closer to your higher self, to the version of yourself that you want to be. And knowing that the work is never done as well. Not in an intimidating way, or not in a way of like, what's the fucking point then if the work is never done, but in a way of the work isn't done ever. And that's okay. Because you can still attract and manifest your desires when you have limiting beliefs. When your limiting beliefs are crippling and they're putting you into toxic cycles and you literally can't get your way out of them, it's a bit more challenging to do it then. But I so proudly and honestly will say right here on this podcast, I have limiting beliefs. I have limiting beliefs that come up for me about myself, about my life, about my relationships, about my business, about my finances, and they don't affect me in the way that they used to, because I know I'm in control of creating that shift within my life and my psychology and my subconscious mind to continue to elevate. And they also give me another clue as to how to get closer and closer and closer to my manifestations and to the things that I want by continuing to work through them. But by no means do I see them as things that completely derail me or can stop me from attracting in the things that I desire in my life anymore. Because like I've been saying, when you start to dive into doing the inner work, recognizing the limiting beliefs, clearing out those limiting beliefs, creating the space, creating the new supportive belief system, and then really starting to embody that supportive belief system, then that becomes your new normal. You do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I don't know, it's different for everyone, but for me, first 6 to 8 months of my journey, that was some heavy lifting. Some super heavy lifting of the crippling, debilitating, limiting beliefs that were stopping me from creating this life that I have now, and that were allowing me to stay in the victim mentality. So, I would encourage you to look at, if this is a journey that you are on, to look at the limiting beliefs that you have in your life, because that's the first step to getting rid of these limiting beliefs. And if you're on this journey right now and you're also working towards ridding yourself of these limiting beliefs and being able to tap into exactly what it is and easily attract and manifest the things that you desire into your life, this is what I teach inside of my signature online course, the Abundant AF Babe Academy. Like, this is the exact process, incredibly effective process that I have taken myself through, as well as over 100 women in the past year and a half, to help them clear out their limiting beliefs and rewire their belief systems and their subconscious minds, and create those new neural pathways within their subconscious minds to be able to attract and manifest more money, more abundance, more fulfillment with so much more ease. And if any of you are following me on Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram at Kat Kozad. It's also going to be in the show notes. Go check out all of the little testimonial videos that I have on my Instagram profile. They're all in the highlights reel. These are just a few of the women that I have worked with and the things that they've been able to attract and manifest through using this process, through working with me, through recognizing their limiting beliefs and having that courage to really start to shift and change their relationship with their past programming and their past conditioning, to ultimately be able to now be in the position where they are living more intentional, more fulfilling, and more free lives, where they receive more money, they have better relationships, they're following the paths that they want to go down, and that can be your reality as well. I really want you to know that can be your reality as well. Anything that you feel as though is standing in your way right now, you are capable of overcoming. You are capable of moving through, moving past, and capable of creating the belief system that will allow you to do that with so much more ease than just trying to change your external circumstance and hope that everything's going to get better. Because I played that shit out for so many years. I lived that reality for so many years of, okay, if I change this, then it'll be better. When I lose the weight, then I'll feel better. When I have the boyfriend, then I'll feel better. When I have more money, then I'll feel better. And all of those different limiting beliefs spurred change in my life, me trying to change external things over and over and over and over again, and ultimately just leading back into these same patterns of self-sabotage because I was never addressing the underlying weeds, the underlying roots, the reason that I was acting within that behavior in the first place and why I had those limiting beliefs in the first place. And by recognizing those things and owning the fuck out of those things and then accepting them and creating the shift, that is how and why I've created the life that I've created in the past 2 years with such speed and such ease. And I want you to know, anybody who's listening to this, is like, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm a mirror to you. You can fucking do this thing. You are more than capable. And if the Abundant AF Babe Academy is something that you feel called to, check out the show notes. I have very limited spots in the academy each month, so I can provide the highest amount of support to all of the women inside of it. But if this is something that you're interested in, you'll want to go there ASAP because it is absolutely transformative. Let's see, anything else on limiting beliefs? I don't think so, but I want you to all once again know you're so powerful. You got this. Your limiting beliefs got nothing on you, and thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If this would help somebody in your life, if there's somebody that you care about who's so hung up on their limiting beliefs, or you're hung up on your limiting beliefs and this podcast episode really had you having a breakthrough moment of, holy shit, okay, I can create the shift, please share it on your Instagrams. Please share it with those people. Share it on Facebook so that I can help as many people as I possibly can spread the word of this podcast, because the more people we got listening to this podcast, the more that I can create, the more that you also get to enjoy it, and the more fun we get to have. So yes, please share it. And if you feel called to, leave me a review on iTunes. And I would be so appreciative if you did. But until the next episode, I'm sending you all of my love, and go crush the fucking day, y'all. You got this. Oh my gosh. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I'm so grateful to have these no bullshit talks with you. If you enjoyed today's episode or the podcast as a whole, please spread the love by leaving me a review on iTunes or sharing the podcast with others. This is how I will be able to spread more of these good vibes and be able to make more of an impact on the lives of others. And if you're not already part of all of the goodness and communities that I have to offer, check out the show notes. I have links to the different ways that I can support you on your manifestation journey and help you live a life full of more money, fulfillment, and freedom. But that is all for now. So big love and hugs, and I will chat with you soon, babe.